even though I'm very, very behind on that trend now. But hey, better late than never. So it's time to find out about another great bit of theatre that's on its way to Berkshire. And of course, there are loads of brilliant pantos on at this time of year. But if you fancy something a little bit different, legendary magician Chris Dugdale is bringing his show Ethermind to the Old Court in Windsor on the 22nd. Now, Chris has done it all. He's performed for the UN. He's performed for Beyonce and Jay-Z, even the Queen. And he told me what inspired him to get into magic in the first place.
Growing up as a child in Maidenhead, I was fascinated by football, martial arts, badminton, tennis, and magic. And magic just really stuck with me. It fascinated me to the point that as a young teenager, I went to see an American magician, Michael Amar, in Reading. And he sat us around and he did this piece of magic. And I thought at that point in time, if you really could do magic, it would look exactly like what I'm seeing with Michael doing. So I guess that inspired me to continue the fact that with incredible sleight of hand, he was able to create this illusion that if we as human beings could do magic, it would look no different.
Amazing. And you became the youngest member of the Magic Circle when you were just 18. For those who don't know, what is the Magic Circle?
So the Magic Circle has around, don't quote me on this, around 1,300 members all around the world. And it's the most exclusive magic club on planet Earth. They have their headquarters near Euston Station. And they are an incredible society with a rich history and a really diverse membership. It's a fascinating club.
So how did you come to be a member then?
So I auditioned, and the audition is probably one of the most nerve-wracking things you'll ever do. You basically do a set of about 10 minutes in front of them, and they're sat there with their arms crossed, looking at you, judging you. And if they like you, Katie, you're in. And if not, you're not.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so intimidating, but that must have felt amazing as an 18-year-old to get in.
But it was, and King Charles, as he now is also a member, and I was lucky enough to spend a little time with him, and I asked him about his audition because I know that he did the cups and the balls for his audition, and he was very funny.
King Charles is a member of the Magic Circle. This has blown my mind, Chris. That's amazing.
He is, yeah, and he actually did his audition, and he passed.
Wow, there you go. You learn something every single day. Another thing that really grabbed me when I was reading about your career is that you've got a degree in psychology, and you lecture on the psychology of magic. That sounds so fascinating.
Yeah, it's something I'm truly passionate about. My show, Ethermind, is a unique combination of magic and mind control. And the segue between the two slightly different aspects of our art follows the narrative of my life. So I studied at Leicester University under Dr. Julian Boone, who's one of the most distinguished criminal profilers in the United Kingdom. An incredible man. He changed my life, and his work really affected in a very positive way the rest of my life and definitely my career.
Fantastic. And we're going to touch on your show that's coming to Windsor very soon. But I've got to mention, you've entertained some of the most famous people in the world, Chris. Beyonce and Jay-Z, the Brazilian World Cup team. Do you ever feel starstruck at performances like this?
Do you know, that's a very interesting question. When I meet these people, I deal and interact with them as human beings. And the reason that I was, in my opinion, successful with the royal family, I've done 14 shows now for the royal family, was because I treat them as normal people. Because they're there to see my act and to enjoy my artistry, if you like. So I meet them on a very different playing field. And I find that these people really, truly like being treated as quote unquote normal people because they're surrounded by yes men all day. Yes sir, no sir, three bags full sir. So when someone comes in with a bit of cheek, a bit of charisma, I hope, and we can connect on a very different level. I think that's a real reason for some of my success.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're mentioning your royal performances there, including a private show for the late Queen. Can you tell us what that experience was like?
It was unbelievable. I'll
Mm.
never forget it. I was flying, on cloud nine for about 2 years afterwards. She was an amazing lady. I was very sad, as we all were when she passed away. I was very proud living in the States now. I live in Annapolis, Maryland, near Washington, D.C. And I was very proud with the way the Americans flew their flags at half mast for a good couple of weeks leading up to the funeral. She was universally respected and loved, and she had a great personality and a great character. So I was at a table. There was her and nine friends, literally her and nine friends on a night out. She wasn't
Wow.
there on ceremony. She was fantastic. She watched the magic. She tried to work it out. She was interactive. But at the end of it, she just turned to me and she just said, it's impossible. And I will never forget those words as long as I live.
What an incredible experience. That's magician Chris Dugdale coming to the Old Court in Windsor on the 22nd of December. And more from my chat with Chris after this. It's Sam Fender on BBC Radio Berkshire. He's been announced as one of the acts at Reading Festival next year. Sam Fender, get you down on BBC Radio Berkshire. Now, I've been having a chat with magician Chris Dugdale. Chris is bringing his show Ethermind to the Old Court in Windsor on the 22nd of this month. Now, Chris has literally done it all. He's had an incredible career so far. He's performed in front of the UN, for Beyonce, even the Queen. And I asked him if he's got a career highlight.
I have many, to be honest. The Brazil 1970 Brazil World Cup team at the top of Sugarloaf Mountain in Rio was incredible. I'm cheeky, Katie, and I believe as long as you treat people with respect, and if you present your way in a style that's congruent to your personality, if you don't ask, you don't get in this world. And I asked them, please, can I hold the World Cup? And they said, no. Of course you can't. There's 8 bodyguards stood around it. I go on. This is what they said. Absolutely not. So at the end of the gig, I got them all round, the bodyguards, and I did 10 minutes for them. I said, look, guys, please let me hold it. And they did. They let me hold the World Cup, and I raised it. And I tell you what, that was a fantastic moment. And the shots that I got sort of cropped out all of these burly bodyguards who were guarding it at the time. But that was fantastic. That's definitely one of them. The Queen, obviously, and a lot of ones that I literally cannot talk about because she signed these non-disclosure agreements.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been fantastic. I work really hard. I love what I do, and I have a very unique show to offer people.
It sounds incredible. And so you're coming to Windsor on the 22nd of December. So tell us about the show and what people can expect.
So Ethermind runs for about an hour and 20 minutes, and it starts off as a very interactive magic show. It's very quick fire. And then, as I said previously, it quickly segues into a mind control act. Now, studying under Dr. Boone, I learned techniques that I've since taken to America, and I actually fooled the greatest minds of the Pentagon with my act. And that, yeah, talk about career highlights. That was one of them. You look around the tabs, the side of the stage, and you look at your audience, and there's 300 generals plus their partners with their arms, folded, looking very skeptical. Like, what have we done hiring a magician? And then they ended up being one of the best audiences I've ever had. They were on their feet at the end. They gave me a Medal of Excellence. I'll never forget that moment. I dedicated it to my dad, who I tragically lost to cancer many years ago now. And as I did, Katie, I broke down in tears, and it was in front of 600 people total, 300 plus their partners. And at that point, something happened that changed my life. A 4-star general ran onto that stage, and he gave me the biggest hug of my life.
Oh, wow.
In front of all these strangers. And I just thought, if the world truly is run by people like this, it can be a very beautiful place.
Goodness me, that's an amazing memory to have. And the show sounds great. It was also, you performed it in Edinburgh this year at the Fringe, and it went amazingly, I hear.
you. It was a sellout run. Hello Magazine reviewed it as the best magic show of the Edinburgh Festival 2022, which made me really proud. Yeah, it's a fantastic experience. I promise to show people something that they've never seen before in their life, and suspension of disbelief and creating wonder. That's what it's really all about. It's about connecting with our audience and taking everyone away from their daily problems and grind for an hour or so, and entering this incredible imaginary world. So yes, it's a fantastic show. When I say there are literally only a handful of tickets left, I mean that. Last time I looked, I think there were 8 tickets left for Windsor. So if you want to come, be quick, because it will sell out.
So, Chris, you're going to do some magic for me right now.
Katie, I'm going to try from thousands of miles away to influence your choice. I want you to think of a number between 1 and 1,000.
Okay.
Okay, now I want you to change your mind. It's very important for the listeners to understand that we've not prearranged anything. You had no idea we were going to try and do this. Think of that number. Change your mind once. You've changed your mind. You got a new number in your mind.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I ask you to change your mind is because so it's not an instinctive choice. Let's go for this. Think of that number. Imagine that this is vaguely possible.
Okay.
I'm going to try and write it down on a piece of card here. This card will never leave your sight. For the first time, Katie, will you name your number, please?
641.
641?
Yeah.
I got very, very close, Katie.
Okay.
This card will never leave your sight. There'll be no switches, no sleight of hand. 641.
Stop it. Oh my gosh, stuff like this makes me feel so weird. That's amazing. I can officially
That's the first
report.
time that ever worked. I'm utterly thrilled.
Are you serious? You're lying. Oh gosh, now I'm proving how gullible I am as well. Chris, that's amazing. If people want to get tickets for your show, where's the best place for them to go?
So it's being held at the Old Court in Windsor. So I think it's www.oldcourt.org, I believe.
That's Chris Dugdale, the magician. Now, when we had that chat on Zoom, and when he wrote that number down on that little playing card and turned it round to show me, I could not believe that. How does he do it? I don't know, but I was very, very impressed.